I died on a Tuesday night in the pouring rain, my body crumpling against the cold asphalt of the Brooklyn Bridge like a discarded rag. The last thing I saw was my fiancé's face twisted in that smug, sorry not sorry grin as he watched me plummet. Betrayed by the man I was set to marry in 3 months, fired from my dream job at the ad agency that very afternoon on fabricated embezzlement charges, and stripped of everything, my savings, my reputation, my goddamn future, in a conspiracy so airtight it felt like the universe itself had turned against me. But death wasn't the end. It was a reset button jammed in the cruelest possible way, because when my eyes snapped open, I wasn't in some ethereal void. I was back in my cramped Manhattan apartment, 6 months earlier, staring at the same alarm clock blinking 7:15 a.m., my heart pounding like I'd just run a marathon from hell. The first breath I took in that reborn body was a gasp that rattled my ribs, the familiar scent of stale coffee and Alex's cheap cologne hitting me like a freight train. Alex. My fiancé, the golden boy of Wall Street with his perfect jawline and promises of forever, who I'd caught balls deep in my best friend Lauren's apartment that rainy night, right after she'd whispered in my ear at the office holiday party about anonymous tips leading to my downfall. It all flooded back in Technicolor horror. The boardroom ambush where my boss, Victor Hale, Alex's golf buddy and secret puppet master, slammed a stack of forged documents on the table, accusing me of siphoning funds to fund a lavish lifestyle I never had. I lost my job, my penthouse deposit, my circle of so-called friends who ghosted me overnight. And in the end, when I confronted Alex on that bridge, begging for the truth, he didn't just confess. He pushed me, a tragic accident, to tie up loose ends, all so he and Victor could seize control of the agency I'd built from the ground up.
But now?
Now I was Eliana Voss, 28 years old, engagement ring glinting mockingly on my finger, with every memory of that betrayal etched into my soul like acid. 6 months to rewrite the script. 6 months to dismantle their empire brick by fraudulent brick. And the first order of business? Smile at Alex over breakfast, like the devoted fiancé he thought I was, while plotting his slow, delicious ruin. That morning, as I shuffled into the kitchen of our West Village walk-up, rented on my dime, of course, Alex was already at the counter, scrolling through his Bloomberg app on his phone, his broad shoulders filling out that Brooks Brothers shirt I'd bought him for his birthday. "Morning, babe," he said without looking up, his voice all smooth Midwestern charm masking the viper underneath. "Coffee's fresh. Big meeting today. Might close that merger with Hale Industries." Hale Industries. Victor's baby, the very beast that would swallow my agency whole in my first life. I poured myself a mug, my hand steady despite the storm raging inside, and leaned against the counter, forcing a laugh that sounded genuine even to me. "Sounds killer. Don't forget, we're meeting Lauren for drinks after. She's dying to hear about the wedding plans." His eyes flicked up then, a flicker of something, guilt, amusement, crossing his face before he masked it with that boyish grin.
"Yeah, about that.
Lauren's been a rock, you know? Helping me network with Victor." He reached over, brushing my hand, the ring catching the light like a taunt. In that moment, I saw it all again. Lauren's lipstick on his collar, her breathy moans echoing from behind that apartment door, the way she'd testified against me in the internal investigation, her evidence, the forged emails that sealed my fate. I nodded, sipping my coffee black and bitter, just like the revenge brewing in my veins. She's the best. Couldn't do this without her. Lies, all of it, but they tasted like sweet nectar. As he kissed my cheek and bolted out the door for his subway ride to Midtown, I sank into a chair, pulling out my laptop. Time to audit my own life. In my past go-around, I'd been too trusting, too buried in client pitches to notice the red flags. The late nights Alex claimed were networking, the whispers at the office about Victor grooming him for a corner office, the way Lauren's promotion came right after she started consulting on my projects. First move, dig into the finances. I logged into our joint account, password unchanged, the lazy bastard, and froze. There it was, the first siphon, $5,000 transferred to an offshore shell company 2 weeks ago, labeled wedding vendor deposit. Bullshit. In my first death, I discovered too late it was seed money for Alex's side hustle with Victor, a Ponzi scheme dressed up as venture capital.
But now?
I screenshotted everything, emailed it to a burner account I'd set up in seconds, then deleted the history. Step 1. Build a paper trail they couldn't forge their way out of. By noon, I was at Voss and Associates, my agency, still thriving under my name, though Victor's merger talks were already buzzing like a hornet's nest. The office hummed with the chaos I loved. Graphic designers huddled over mood boards, account execs on frantic calls to Tokyo clients, the scent of takeout Thai wafting from the break room. My assistant, Mia, a sharp-eyed 22-year-old fresh out of NYU, handed me my schedule. Eliana, Victor Hale's online too. Again. Of course he was. In my first life, he charmed me over lunches at Per Se, dangling partnership whispers while plotting my ouster. Now, I let it ring twice before picking up, my voice all honeyed steel. Victor, to what do I owe the pleasure? Eliana, darling, his gravelly baritone purred, the kind that made interns blush and executives sweat. Just checking in on that merger proposal. Alex mentioned you're open to discussing equity splits. Alex, already laying the groundwork. I twirled a pen, glancing at the window overlooking the Hudson, the gray December sky mirroring my mood. Equity? Victor, you know Voss is my baby. But hey, numbers don't lie. Send over the projections and we'll talk. I hung up before he could push, then called Mia over. Start compiling every contract we've got with Hale Industries. Cross-reference payments, NDAs, the works.
And Mia?
Discretion is key. She nodded, eyes wide but trusting. Good kid. In my first timeline, she'd been collateral damage, laid off in the post-merger purge. Not this time. The afternoon blurred into client calls and creative brainstorms, but my mind was a war room. By 5 p.m., as the team trickled out for happy hour, I stayed late, hacking into the agency's server. Perks of being the founder, with a VPN I'd rigged on my phone. Buried in the archives, emails between Victor and Alex, dated months back, casual at first. Hey buddy, Eliana's killing it. Too bad she's not merger material. Then damning, need her out clean. Lauren's got the docs ready. Push her on the bridge, if it comes to that. Insurance payout covers the loose ends. My stomach churned, ball rising like the East River at high tide. The bridge. They'd planned it. Not just betrayal, but premeditated murder, wrapped in corporate espionage. Tears stung, but I blinked them back. Crying was for the old Eliana. This one? She sharpened knives. That's when the doorbell buzzed. Odd, Alex had a key, and delivery guys didn't come to the office. I buzzed them up, and in walked Mrs. Hargrove from the apartment next door, a wiry septuagenarian with a perm like steel wool and an apron dusted in flour. In my first life, she'd been the nosy neighbor who baked cookies after my accident, showing up at Alex's doorstep with condolences and Tupperware, unwittingly feeding into his grieving widower act. But here, 6 months early, she thrust a plate at me through the half-open door, her eyes sharp behind bifocals. Eliana, dear. Heard you burning the midnight oil again. Made snickerdoodles, cinnamon's good for the nerves. I stared, the warmth of the plate seeping through the foil. Mrs. Hargrove? How'd you? Thin walls, honey. And that fiancé of yours? Snores like a freight train. She winked, but there was steel in it.
Eat.
You'll need your strength. Before I could respond, she was gone, elevator dinging shut. Snickerdoodles. In my dying haze, I'd hallucinated her cookies on that bridge, a cruel joke from the cosmos. Now, they were real, a breadcrumb in the maze. I bit into one, the spice exploding on my tongue, and for the first time since waking, I laughed. A real one, jagged and fierce. This was my second chance, and it tasted like revenge. The next few weeks were a high-wire act, balancing the facade of blissful engagement prep with the underground demolition of Alex and Victor's house of cards. By day, I was Eliana Voss, powerhouse ad exec, schmoozing clients at rooftop bars in Soho, my Instagram a curated feed of cake tastings and venue tours, Voss ties the not trending locally, thanks to a subtle push from Mia. Alex ate it up, posting shirtless gym selfies captioned, "Can't wait to make her mine forever." His followers lapping up the rom-com BS while I seethed behind my screen, liking each one with a heart emoji. Nights were for the shadows. I'd slip into our bedroom after Alex passed out from his third whiskey sour, laptop glowing like a co-conspirator as I traced the money trail. That offshore account? Linked to a Delaware LLC named Hale Ventures, Victor's slush fund, funneled through Lauren's consulting gigs. She'd been the mole all along, my sorority sister from Vanderbilt, the one who'd cried on my shoulder during our college breakups, only to sell me out for a VP title and Alex's bed. The emails I'd uncovered painted it vivid, her forging my digital signature on dummy invoices, Alex coaching her on alibis, Victor greenlighting the whole op with a single, "Make it clean." But the real gut punch? The secret they'd buried deepest, the one that explained why they targeted me specifically. Buried in Victor's personal drive, accessed via a phishing link I'd sent disguised as a merger teaser, was a scanned confession from 2012, yellowed like old guilt. My father, Richard Voss, hadn't died in that boating accident, off the Hamptons like the obituary claimed. No, Victor had drowned him. A rival agency owner who discovered Hale Industries was laundering mob money through ad buys. Dad confronted him, threatened to go public, and poof, gone. Ruled accidental. My mom following him to the grave a year later from grief. I'd inherited Voss and Associates at 22, too young and heartbroken to question the shadows. Alex knew. Hell, he'd wooed me with stories of honoring your dad's legacy, all while Victor groomed him to finish the job. Rage became my fuel, cold and calibrated. First strike, leak the financial discrepancies to an anonymous tip line at the SEC. Not enough to topple them, too traceable, but enough to trigger an audit, buying me time. I watched it unfold from afar. Alex sweating over conference calls, Victor's golf game canceled for regulatory meetings. Lauren? She started showing cracks, her brunches with me laced with probing questions. "Everything okay at the office, Elle? You seem distant." Distant. I'd echo, clinking my mimosa against hers at St. Ambrius, the Upper East Side city scene spot. "Just wedding jitters, babe." Speaking of, Alex mentioned you two had a late strategy session last week. Spill. Did Victor bite on the equity pitch? Her laugh was a hair too high, her Botox-smooth forehead twitching. "Oh, you know Alex, always hustling. Nothing major." But her eyes darted, and I filed it away, the hook set. Enter Mrs. Hargrove, the wild card I hadn't anticipated. She'd taken to dropping by with treats, oatmeal raisin one night, lemon bars the next. Always after Alex's snores kicked in, her knock soft but insistent. The third visit, she didn't leave after handing over the plate. Instead, she perched on my kitchen stool, pouring us both chamomile tea from a thermos, her gaze pinning me like a specimen. "You're not yourself, girl. Eyes like a fox in a henhouse. What's eating you?" I hesitated, the snickerdoodle crumbs still on my saucer from last time. Trust no one. That was rule one in this reboot. But something in her crinkle-lined face, the way she'd outlived 2 husbands and a Depression-era childhood in Queens, screamed survivor. "It's complicated." I started testing. "Ever feel like the people closest to you are wearing masks?" She snorted, sipping her tea. "Masks. Honey, life's a goddamn masquerade. My first husband, God rest his crooked soul, ran numbers for the Gambinos back in '58. Baked me pies while plotting hits. Learned quick. Watch the hands, not the smile." She paused, eyes narrowing. "Your boy's hands? They're busy. Saw him slipping envelopes under Lauren's door last Tuesday. Thought it was junk mail till I clocked the return address, Hale Industries." My blood iced over. She'd seen. This busybody grandma was my unwitting spy. "Mrs. Hargrove.
Call me Da.
And don't thank me yet. I've got a nose for rot."
Your pa?
"Richard? He helped my nephew land a gig at Boss back in the day."
Good man.
"Shame what happened." Her voice dropped, conspiratorial. "Boating accidents don't just happen to swells like him." Water was calm that night. Checked the logs myself at the harbor master's. The room tilted. She knew, or suspected. In my first life, I had been a footnote, a kindly ghost at my memorial. Now,
Ally.
I leaned in, voice a whisper. If I told you I need dirt on Victor Hale, real dirt, would you? She cackled, patting my hand with flour-dusted fingers. Child, I've got a Rolodex thicker than your thigh. Old dames like me? We remember. Gimme a day. She left with a wink, and I devoured the lemon bars like communion wafers, the tartness mirroring the twist in my gut. Second chances came with reinforcements. The audit hit like a nor'easter, SEC agents swarming Hale Industries by mid-January, Victor's face on the business section of the Times. All bluster and denials. Alex came home rattled, tie askew, collapsing onto the couch with a scotch. It's nothing, babe, just some paperwork glitch. Victor's got the best lawyers. I played the part, rubbing his shoulders, murmuring sympathies while my mind raced. You'll fix it. You're unstoppable. But inside, I was scripting his fall. Next, expose Lauren. I hacked her email, child's play with her predictable password, Alex BFF69, and found the motherlode, steamy sex with Alex, blueprints for the forgeries, even a voice memo of her practicing her testimony, voice cracking with rehearsed sobs.
Decision time.
Controversial as hell. Frame her for the leaks. Not outright. Too risky, but plant just enough to make her sweat, force a confession. I drafted anonymous emails from a ghost server, forwarding her incriminating threads to Victor's board, CCing the SEC for good measure. Loyalty tested. The subject line read,
Send.
The fallout was fireworks. Lauren called me hysterical that night, voice slurring from wine. Eliana, someone's trying to sabotage me. Those emails, they're twisted. You believe me, right? Of course, I soothed, recording every word on my phone app. What can I do? She spilled it all. Alex's coercion, Victor's threats, incriminating herself deeper with each sob. By morning, she was suspended, her desk cleared by security. Alex? He paced our apartment, phone glued to his ear, oblivious to my serene smile over yogurt parfait. But cracks show. He started drinking heavier, accusations flying. You think I had something to do with this? After everything? I gaslit gently. Babe, you're paranoid. While Dot's next delivery arrived, a manila envelope under my door, stuffed with faded photos. Victor and my dad, arguing on a yacht dock in 11. A witness statement from Dot's nephew, unsigned but damning. Saw Hale push boss senior overboard. Heard threats about finishing the family business. The pieces fit. Victor hadn't just killed Dad. He'd marked me for the same fate, using Alex as the blade. My hands shook as I tucked it away, but resolve hardened like concrete. Payback wasn't just personal, it was generational. February brought the wedding shower, a glittering farce at Lauren's empty brownstone, irony thick as the champagne. Friends cooed over registry china, toasting our perfect match, while I slipped away to the powder room, texting. Need backup. They're closing in. Her reply, oven's warm. Come for ginger snaps, and a plan. By March, the noose I'd woven was tightening, but so was theirs. Paranoia makes monsters desperate. Alex's charm frayed at the edges, his touches lingering too long, eyes searching mine for cracks in the armor. You're different lately, Eliana. He'd murmur over takeout pad thai, chopsticks paused midair.
More. Focused.
It's hot but kinda scary. I'd laugh it off, straddling his lap for a make-out session that left him breathless and clueless, buying myself nights of uninterrupted scheming. Just excited for us, babe. The merger's gonna make us kings. Lies layered like milfy, each one sweeter than the last. But inside, I was a live wire, every nerve ending tuned to their frequencies. Victor's counterpunch came swift, a friendly lunch invite at the Four Seasons, power spot for Midtown Titans, where he'd pat my hand across the linen tablecloth and sigh, Eliana, this SEC nonsense, it's hurting everyone. Alex says you're open to a quiet exit. 50 mil for Voss, you walk away clean. Start fresh in LA maybe. His eyes, beady behind rimless glasses, bored into me like he could smell the rebirth on my skin. In my first life, I'd balked, demanded transparency, and that's when the hammer fell.
Now?
I sipped my Chardonnay, tilting my head coyly. 50? Generous, Vic. But what about equity for Alex? He's earned it, your protégé and all. The bait dangled, and he bit, launching into a monologue about family legacies, his hand gesturing wide enough to knock over the salt shaker. I nodded along, recorder app humming silent in my purse, capturing every boast about cleaning house and Voss bloodlines ending tidy.
Gotcha.
But the real bomb? When he leaned in, voice dropping to a rasp. Your father was a fool, Eliana. Thought he could play me. You?
Smarter.
Or are you? The threat hung, velvet-gloved, but I saw the fist beneath. Smarter every day, I replied, smiling as I excused myself to the ladies' room. There, I forwarded the audio to my burner, heart slamming like bass at a warehouse rave. Controversial call. Release it selectively. Not full blast. Ruin the surprise, but drip feed to a journalist contact from my NYU days, a scrappy reporter at the Village Voice who'd kill for an insider scoop on corporate rot. Anonymous source, the email read. Hale's dirty laundry. Verify and run. The article dropped a week later. Ad empire built on drowned dreams? Hale Industries faces scrutiny over founder's accident. No names, but the dots connected. Yacht photos blurred but recognizable. Quotes from former associates, echoing Dot's envelope. Victor's stock dipped 8%. Alex's calls went unanswered, and Lauren? She cracked wide open, showing up drunk at my office, mascara rivers down her cheeks. It was him, L. Alex said it'd be easy. Forge the docs, blame you, then the bridge for insurance. I didn't know about your dad till after. I buzzed Mia to escort her out, but not before hitting record again. Lauren's confession spilling like cheap Merlot. Why me? I pressed, voice breaking for effect. We were sisters. She hiccuped, clutching my desk. He loves you in his way. But Victor, he hates loose ends. You're the last boss. Security hauled her away, but the damage was done. By evening, cops were at her door for questioning, obstruction of justice, for my anonymous tip, and the dominoes teetered. Alex confronted me that night in our apartment, the air thick with unspoken thunder. Rain lashed the windows, a callback to my death, as he loomed in the doorway, face flushed from rage and Glenfiddich. What the hell did you do, Eliana? Lauren saying you set her up, called me hysterical, babbling about confessions. The article? It's bullshit, but it's tanking everything. I stood my ground in the kitchen, back to the counter where its latest, chocolate chip, still warm from a neighborly drop-off, sat cooling. Me? Alex, I've been planning our future while you're…
What?
Covering for Victor's skeletons. I let the accusation hang, watching him unravel. He lunged, grabbing my wrists, not hard enough to bruise, but enough to echo the bridge grip in my nightmares. You don't get it. This is bigger than us. Victor saved me, pulled me from that dead-end brokerage. And your dad? He was dirty too, laundering for the same crews Victor cleaned up. We did you a favor. The lie snapped something primal. I twisted free, knee jerking up, not to hit, but close enough to make him flinch. Favor? Like pushing me off a bridge? I know, Alex. Every whisper, every envelope, every moan with Lauren. I died for your favor. And now, I'm the ghost coming back for blood. His face drained of color, eyes bulging like a cornered rat. Died? What the fuck are you? I shoved the phone at him, playback of Lauren's meltdown blaring. The bridge for insurance. He staggered back, collapsing into a chair, whiskey glass shattering on the hardwood.
How?
This isn't, Eliana, you're crazy.
Second chance?
That's not real. But it was. And in that fractured moment, as sirens wailed distant in the night, cops en route to Hale Industries on a warrant I'd greased with the journalist's leads, I made the call that'd haunt me. Controversial to the core. Let him run. Not mercy but strategy. Go, I whispered, voice steel. Confess to Victor. Beg forgiveness. Or fight me and lose everything. He bolted, door slamming like a guillotine, leaving me alone with the cookies and the storm. Dot's text buzzed. Heard the shouting. Safe? Gingerbread's baking, stronger than steel. I replied, safer than ever. We're ending this. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving, SEC raids hitting both offices by 7 a.m. Voss and associates locked down, my team safe under my lockdown protocols, while Hale's glass towers crawled with feds and windbreakers. Victor called once, voice a guttural snarl. You bitch. Richard spawned through and through.
Click.
Alex? Radio silence until the 11 a.m. news. Fiancée of ad exec flees scene amid fraud probe. High tide. I gathered Mia and the core team in the conference room, faces pale but fierce. We're not merging, I announced, projecting the evidence wall I'd built, timelines, audios, photos. We're exposing. Voss stands alone, and we're suing Hale for every dirty dime. Cheers erupted, but my eyes stayed on the window, scanning for shadows. The twist hit at dusk. A knock, not its tentative tap, but authoritative, badge flashing. 2 detectives grim-faced. Ms. Voss? We need to talk about your fiancé. And a witness placing you on the Brooklyn Bridge last October, night of your reported suicide attempt.
Suicide?
The word clawed. In my first life, that's how they'd spun it, despondent over embezzlement shame. I jumped. But here? They'd preempted, planting false reports. Witnesses bought off. Victor's moxie. Even in chains. My pulse thundered.
Suicide?
Gentlemen, I was pushed. And I've got proof that'll bury Hale deeper than his sins. They exchanged glances, notebooks out. As I spilled, measured, damning, they nodded, one muttering, "This changes everything." But doubt lingered in their eyes. Cops or plants. Trust eroded like Manhattan schist. Night fell heavy, apartment echoing empty, without Alex's chaos. I paced, phone dead on silent, when it appeared, uninvited, plate in hand, but her free arm cradling a battered laptop. Girl, you look like death warmed over. Twice. She set the gingerbread down, booting the machine with arthritic fingers. Pulled strings. Old cop buddy-owed me from 72. Watergate-era dirt. Watch. The screen flickered to life. Grainy CCTV from the bridge. Time-stamped my death night. Not my plummet, but Alex's approach. Hesitation, then the shove. Clear as crystal. Timestamp irrefutable.
How?
I breathed, collapsing beside her. Thin walls, remember? Hacked the city cams with a favor. Nephew's a whiz, ethical one, unlike your boy. She squeezed my shoulder.
Now eat.
Revenge on an empty stomach sours. Tears came then, hot and unbidden. Not for Alex, but for Dad, for the girl I'd been. Stayed till midnight, her stories of bootleg gin and betrayed lovers a balm, plotting our final play. Leak the video to the feds, anonymous, then vanish Hale's empire in court. But as she left, hugging me fierce, a chill slithered. Footsteps in the hall. Heavy, deliberate. Alex? Victor's goon? The door creaked, and I gripped the rolling pin from the counter, heart a war drum. The door swung open to shadows, and for a split second, time looped, back to the bridge, the rain, the push. But it was just the super, grizzled Mr. Kowalski, toolbox in hand. Ms. Voss? Lights flickering again, storm surge. Need access. I exhaled, adrenaline crashing, and waved him in with a brittle smile. Go wild. Wiring's older than sin anyway. He tinkered for an hour, muttering about city neglect, while I devoured gingerbread, the snap of it grounding me like rebar in concrete. By the time he left, the apartment glowed steady, but my nerves hummed discordant. Sleep evaded, dreams fracturing into bridge plunges and Victor's leer, waking me in sweats at 3 a.m. The video, Put's gift, burned a hole in my drive. Send it now, or hold for the kill shot. Morning brought clarity and chaos. Headlines screamed, Hale Empire crumbles, founder charged with fraud, manslaughter. Victor in cuffs, silver hair disheveled, paraded before cameras like a fallen Caesar. Alex's face flashed too, mugshot fresh, eyes hollow, charged as accomplice in the Voss senior homicide. The public devoured it, Adgate trending, my agency stock. Independent now, surging 15% on whistleblower buzz. Mia burst into my office at 9, iPad thrust forward. Eliana, it's everywhere. Reporters at the door. CNN wants an exclusive.
And
This. She tapped a video link. Alex, in orange jumpsuit, arraigned via video feed, voice cracking as he pled not guilty. But the kicker? His statement to the press outside. Eliana Voss knew everything. Her father's sins, the deals. She orchestrated this to cover her tracks. I loved her, but she's the real monster. Gaslight, post-mortem. My hands fisted, knuckles white. He'd flipped, scripting me as the villain in his redemption arc. Social media ignited. Trolls calling me Black Widow Voss, old clients pulling contracts in panic. The board convened emergency, whispers of interim leadership slithering through emails. Isolation closed in, thicker than fog off the harbor. Decision loomed, the most controversial, yet. Go public. Not defensive, offensive. Afternoon presser. Voss HQ lobby packed with mics and lenses, my trench coat a shield as I stepped to the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not here to bury Victor Hale, the courts will. I'm here to resurrect the truth. Flashes popped like gunfire. I played the hits. Audio of Victor's yacht threats, Lauren's confession, the bridge CCTV unspooling in grainy glory, Alex's shove, my scream silenced by splash. The room gasped, then erupted. Questions flew. How do you get this?
Suicidox.
But I held steady, voice amplified calm. I survived betrayal. My father's murder. An attempt on my life. Voss and Associates isn't just an agency, it's a legacy of integrity. And we'll fight for it. No tears, no quaver, just fire, American as apple pie, and due process. Backlash hit like a sucker punch. Alex's lawyers sued for defamation, Victor's camp leaking mental health concerns about me, implying my suicide survival was delusion. Friends? The few who'd stuck ghosted, scared of the taint. Even urged caution over Earl Grey. Poke the bear, he bites back. Got a safe house in Jersey, my sisters. Crash if it heats. But I doubled down, countersuing with evidence avalanches. My legal team, hired from the settlement windfall, a Shark Tank. April blurred into depositions and death threats, mailroom sifting anthrax scares, bodyguards shadowing my runs in Central Park. Sleepless, I'd stare at the ring, yanked off weeks ago, pawned for bail bonds on ethics, wondering if revenge was worth the husk it left me. Twist cracked open on a muggy May Eve, courthouse steps after Alex's hearing. He shuffled out in chains, gaze locking mine across the barricade. Eliana, he rasped to his escort, loud enough for mics. She came back, told me everything. Death, rebirth. She's insane. Murmurs rippled, reporters swarming. Rebirth? He believed my slip, twisted it into madness. My publicist spun damage control, ex-fiancée's desperate lies, but doubt seeded, stocks dipping anew. Rock bottom, board vote, 7-5 against me. Temporary leave, pending psych eval. I stormed home, apartment a tomb, when it arrived, not with cookies, but a duffel and a hug. Pack light. Jersey nights calling. We fled in her ancient Cadillac, Jersey Turnpike a blur, her stories weaving normalcy. Lost my bakery in '89 crash. Baked through it, therapy and dough. Her sister's bungalow was a time capsule, floral wallpaper, rotary phone, safety and nostalgia. Days melted into strategy sessions over pie, Dut's Rolodex yielding a forensic accountant who unraveled Hale's ledgers further, proving Dad's innocence, my frame-up. June bloomed vengeful. The psych eval? Rigged, but I aced it with a shrink who'd lost her brother to corporate greed, her reported canon. Ms. Voss exhibits resilience, not instability. Board flipped, Voss reclaimed. Alex's trial loomed, Lauren turning state's witness for immunity, her testimony a scalpel. He planned the bridge. Said Eliana deserved it for her father's sins. Victor crumbled first. Plea deal, 25, to life, his empire auctioned, proceeds funding victim trusts. Dad's name cleared posthumously, a quiet memorial in the Hamptons where'd, and ice scattered revised ashes, waves whispering absolution. Alex's day in court was theater macabre, him center stage, me in the gallery, that's hand in mine. He testified wild, my ghost whispers, second lives, jurors shifting uneasy. But evidence trumped delirium. CCTV, confessions, ledgers. Guilty on all counts, fraud, conspiracy, murder too. Sentence, life, no parole. As cuffs clicked, his eyes met mine, not hate, but hollow defeat. You win, ghost. I didn't gloat, just nodded, turning away as cheers faded. 1 year post-rebirth, December again, snow dusting Manhattan like forgiveness. I stood on the Brooklyn Bridge, wind whipping my scarf. Beside me with a thermos of cocoa-spiked eggnog. Voss thrived, merger-free, me at the helm with Mia as partner. No ring, no rush, dates with a barista who baked croissants, not schemes. Changed all, huh? Thought mused, clinking mugs. Cookies to conquer. I laughed, the sound free. From death to dough. American Dream, gritty edition. Below, the East River churned, no longer a grave but a mirror, reflecting not loss, but legacy reclaimed. Betrayal's sting dulled to scar, revenge not a cycle, but a close. And in that chill dawn, with a neighbor's warmth at my side, I finally breathed easy. Second chances? They weren't given, they were baked, one bitter bite at a time.